What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering. We've got some big news today around not only Cyberpunk 2077, but also a new Witcher game coming out of CD Projekt Red, or a new, quote, RPG. But I think it's safe to say that it's going to be in the Witcher lore. Maybe not a, for sure, Witcher 4, but definitely in that universe. First, I want to talk about a Cyberpunk 2077 release date and a comment from their global community manager on the Epic Game Store exclusive question. Now, just about everyone on the internet is very excited for Cyberpunk 2077, and we've got some more information on the actual release date. It looks like it's going to be in June of 2019. That is a little far away for me. The game sounds like it is in alpha or pre-alpha at this point. That gives them a lot of time to get everything going. But CD Projekt Red has reiterated its plans to release 2 AAA titles by the end of 2021. A moderator of studio's official forums via Reset Era, translated through Google, says the plans first laid out last year concerning the release of 2 games within the next 2 years have not changed. Having been asked what steps CDPR are planning to take to release 2 games by 2021, moderator Donata Poplawska said that the company's plans are to release the second AAA game by 2021, unchanged. Sadly, no more detail was offered. They said that the company's main focus was on the production and promotion of Cyberpunk 2077. Those comments echo a CDPR management report released just under a year ago, in which the company reported Cyberpunk 2077 as well as, quote, another AAA story-driven RPG between 2017 and 2021. Sadly, there's no word on whether that game might be, but it doesn't mean we can't do a little bit of guessing. The original commenter points out, by the end of 2021, just a little more than 2.5 years away, doesn't give CDPR tons of time to reach both the yet unknown Cyberpunk 2077 release date and yet another RPG out the door. Developers is big enough by now to be working on more than one game at once, but there's still loads of time for an entire marketing cycle for a title that's not even been hinted at yet. The Witcher is likely, but those of you that think and might be holding out for the Witcher 4 release date, we are going to be disappointed. CDPR CEO says that there will be another Witcher game eventually, perhaps focusing on Ciri, but it's unlikely to be called The Witcher 4. That doesn't mean it won't be The Witcher 4. Having just finished Thronebreaker, which from what I can understand from a sales perspective has been a disappointment, Thronebreaker, The Witcher Tales, I can believe that another one of these could be in the works. The single-player take on Gwent didn't set the world on fire, but would be the definition of a AAA story-driven RPG, and the team behind it have left the door open for not just a sequel, but potential series of stories focusing on characters from across the Northern Realms. Now, the release date. What we have here is the Cyberpunk 2077 release date. Despite the deluge of new information unveiled at E3 2018, we still have no Cyberpunk 2077 release date. However, in December 2016, CD Projekt Red was given a sizable funding from Polish government to research the game techniques and have been dubbed seamless multiplayer animation excellence, cinematic feel, and city creation. The grant comes with a deadline by which the project must be completed. Assuming they're for Cyberpunk, they totally are, they have to be for Cyberpunk 2077 release date. I'm sorry. There has to be a Cyberpunk 2077 release date in June 2019. That is the date. That date is sometime next year, still even supported by Turkish publisher. The target matches CD Projekt Red's claims that they are targeting current generation consoles for the game. PS4 is rumored to be due with a replacement by 2020. In February 2016, an investor called to suggest that Cyberpunk 2077 would be released by 2019. CDPR has said it's planning to release 2 AAA RPGs between 2016 and 2021 and confirmed that on the CD Projekt Red forums that Cyberpunk 2077 would be the first to come out. The studio also said they will not work will not begin on the second RPG until it's wrapped up on Cyberpunk 2077. We also know roughly what stage of production the game is in. Cyberpunk 2077 is in early alpha. It suggests that pre-production has concluded and the work on Cyberpunk 2077's key features are well underway, and we've seen this with the director moving over to Blizzard. CD Projekt Red has said that Cyberpunk 2077 is playable from start to finish, albeit without all the assets and bug testing complete. Therefore, it seems sensible to assume that the world areas may already be built, and the development may now be focused on anything from refining core systems, expanding features, adding quest art assets. The E3 and Gamescom demo, while the most published slice of the game, demonstrated that despite the early alpha status, the game is certainly an impressive point of production. Interesting stuff. Even when we look at Google, right? If we look at Google, it's already pulling this up from trusted reviews. Cyberpunk 2077 release date. When is it coming out? Since its development, CD Projekt Red that says it's hoped to come in launch in 2019. It's early and refuses to let itself be hurried. When I Googled this a little while ago, it actually said June 2019 as the quick search. But we've seen a lot of news coming out. Now, at this point, your guess is as good as ours. In the past, the developer has said more games set in the Witcher universe aren't out of the question. And if being released in the next few years, maybe it's based on existing tech of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Very hard to say. I don't know. What do you think at this point? Now, we saw their global community lead mention today about the Cyberpunk 2077 distribution model. We've seen a lot of titles go Epic Store exclusive, much to the chagrin of dedicated Steam gamers, people that are sick of this basically PC console battle where we have Origin, Uplay, GOG.com, Epic Game Store, Steam, and we saw them reply to a commenter today that seems to allude that at least the exclusivity deal hasn't been struck yet. Now, also, CD Projekt Red does have its own distribution platform using GOG, so maybe they'll try to do that. But some reports I've read said that them exclusively releasing Thronebreaker on GOG.com may have hurt sales. They've said this in corporate sales calls. But Marcin Marmot says, our goal is to make Cyberpunk 2077 available to as many gamers as possible on their platform of choice. That was in response to a customer asking Epic Game Store exclusive. So I'm going to feel pretty confident at this point that without any further clarification, it's reasonable to say that Cyberpunk will not be an Epic Game Store exclusive, given it will also release on PlayStation and Xbox. It's hard to say, if that makes it more or less vulnerable to the Epic Game Store exclusive. Being on multiple consoles certainly gives gamers a bunch of choices. So I guess you could make the argument later, hey, they could come back and say it's going to be an Epic Game Store exclusive at this point and say, look, if you want it on Xbox, you can get it on Xbox. If you want PS4, you can get it on PS4. If you want it on PC, you can get it on Epic Game Store. I don't know if we'll get a physical disc release of the PC game. That might be out of the question these days with everything coming as a digital download. But it's interesting to see. I think it's fair to assume that this game will be out in June of this year. At this rate, given that they have to pump out another game in the next 2 years, what will that game be? Will it be The Witcher 4 or the spiritual Witcher 4? That's an interesting argument or conversation to have. I'm very excited for Cyberpunk. I'm really hopeful we don't have more controversy. I don't know why they don't just release, and there may be a very real question about this, and maybe I'll ask Mark Kern about that later today when we live stream. I don't know why games just don't release on both. Obviously Epic Game Store is giving cash money to developers for the exclusive rights. A couple $1,000,000 to a huge company like CD Projekt Red versus pissing off your entire player base seems unlikely. I mean, there are people that will just get it on console then instead. I'm not sure. But I'm excited. I think with the conventions coming up this summer, you're going to see a big announcement from them. And I feel like June is the right time. And, when you've got the Epic Game Store basically coming out there now and trolling Steam saying, we're not in the prawn business, we're not into bloatware, getting more and more exclusives, Steam is going to have to get their poop in a group here because Epic is eating their lunch. They were right. Tim Sweeney was right that the developers are the ones that are actually deciding where games are ending up because the money on Epic Game Store is just too good. Will CD Projekt Red betray the community and end up going with an Epic exclusive and then using that to say, well, if you want it, you can get it. Maybe they go Epic and GOG.com so people can buy from GOG if they want. I don't know. It'll be interesting to watch. We know that announcing this right now is definitely a powder keg. Regardless, I'm very hyped up for Cyberpunk 2077. What other AAA title they plan on releasing in the next 2 years? It's got to be a Witcher title, especially given low performance of Thronebreaker. I'm guessing that they can have no mistakes in these next 2 releases. And it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. We'll have to watch this all unfold. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully the June date is correct because I am very excited to play Cyberpunk 2077. I'm going to get back to playing The Division 2 right now and playing a little Assassin's Creed Odyssey because it was on sale and I picked it up on the cheap today. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.